All right, let's get right into it. We often think about leadership in these really big, grand terms, right? Like CEOs, presidents, major world figures. But what about the leadership that actually shapes our communities from the ground up? Well, today, we're going to explore that exact idea through the journey of one pretty incredible individual.
And it's a question we should all be asking. I mean, in a world that's changing so fast, what kind of skills, what kind of vision, and honestly, what kind of pure commitment does it take to not just keep a community afloat, but to actually help it thrive? We're going to dig into this using a fantastic case study.
And that case study is Maaran Anbalagan. His story is just a perfect blueprint for what modern, youth-driven leadership can look like. One that beautifully bridges tradition with the crazy demands of our digital world.
So who is Maaran? Let's just get a quick snapshot. Right now, he's a student at Nanyang Technological University, but his impact, wow, it already goes way beyond his studies. You can see his contributions cover social and religious organizations, and there's a clear thread of leadership running through it all. It's this mix of being a student while being so deeply involved in his community that really makes his story pop.
So how did a journey like this even begin? Well, this wasn't some overnight thing. It's really a story about sticking with it, where responsibility was built up layer by layer over a long time. So let's take a look at how that solid foundation was actually formed. His time with the Singapore Tamil Youths Club, or STYC, is the perfect example. He started as president back in 2020, and he's been a core part of the leadership team ever since, moving through different, really important roles. This isn't just something to fluff up a resume. This timeline shows real, boots-on-the-ground, long-term dedication.
And during all that time, he wasn't just showing up and holding a title. Nope, he was driving actual impact. He spearheaded huge events, like a conference seminar with the Tamil Language Festival. And he was a key contributor to UCHOM 2024. And this is crucial. He also led the membership committee, which is that fundamental work of growing and strengthening the organization from the inside out.
And believe it or not, his service didn't stop there. Just this year, in 2024, Maaran expanded his contributions even more by joining the management committee of the Sri Vadapathira Kaliamman Temple. This move is so important because it shows a really holistic approach to community, one that embraces both the social and the spiritual sides of life.
Of course, no story about modern leadership would be complete without its defining test. And for Marga Sadajan's generation of leaders, that test was, without a single doubt, the global pandemic.
And the challenge was just immense. I mean, think about it. How do you keep a community feeling connected when you can't physically be together? How do you keep the momentum going when the entire world just hits pause? This was the problem every single community leader was grappling with.
The solution? It was all about adaptation. Instead of getting stuck choosing between the old way of doing things in person and going totally virtual, Maaran and his team got creative. They built a hybrid strategy. This kind of flexible thinking was absolutely crucial. It allowed the STYC to keep doing its work, nurturing leadership and empowering youth, even during the toughest of times. It really proved that being able to adapt was the real key to survival and success.
But getting through a crisis is one thing. True leadership is also about building something that lasts. And a huge part of Maaran's legacy with the STYC is about taking a traditional project and giving it a permanent digital home for everyone to see.
The thinking behind this project is just so thoughtful. Take this, for example. It's a piece of guidance on a subtle shift in the Tamil language, basically using a more modern and inclusive term for youths. Now, that might seem like a small detail, but it's huge. It signals a really deep understanding of how language itself shapes a community's identity.
So what was the project? It's a digital archive. See, after the STYC successfully published this fantastic book documenting the stories of dynamic Tamil youths, they realized the next logical step was to bring those stories online, making them accessible to anyone, anywhere in the world.
So, how did they pull it off? The process was super methodical. First, they documented all the stories in a physical book. Then, they used modern tools like Google's Notebook LM to digitize all of that content. And the final and maybe most important step was to transform that raw info into a truly interactive digital experience for users.
And the goals for this archive were so clear and so powerful. First up, global reach. The idea was to share these inspiring stories way beyond Singapore. Second, accessibility, for anyone who couldn't get their hands on a physical copy of the book. And third, direct connection, to act as a platform where people could learn about and even get in touch with the amazing individuals featured.
So, when we pull all of these different threads together,
The long-term commitment, the leadership through a crisis, the forward-thinking digital projects. What does it all really mean? What's the philosophy that's driving all of this work?
Well, it really comes down to this beautiful Tamil proverb, Arivatu inatu, sevatu inatu. It means, knowing is sweet, but doing is sweet. And that is the ultimate takeaway here. Knowledge is fantastic, it's wonderful, but the real fulfillment, the real impact comes from action, from service. It's a philosophy that just perfectly sums up Maaran's entire journey. And that leaves us with one final thought to really ponder. If this is what one young leader can accomplish by blending tradition with technology and a spirit of service, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How will the next generation of leaders continue to shape, preserve, and innovate our shared heritage for the future?